St. Catherine of Siena, lay Dominican, mystic, and mysticism, on the whole, has always been somewhat on the margins and has often faced skepticism. Catherine is almost the living proof of how wrong this view of mysticism can be. Mysticism, as the old joke goes, begins in mist and ends in schism and has got I in the middle. She's total disproof of this. Mysticism, the critics say, begins in mist. There is nothing vague or fuzzy about Catherine's doctrine, teaching. In fact, she's a doctor of the Church. Her large work, the dialogue between God and the soul, God and Catherine, is totally and in a complex, articulated way, a work of experienced Catholic doctrine. The dialogue, there are a number of prayers composed by Catherine and almost 400 letters. We can see then her absorption in God and her total commitment to those in need. Her apostolic zeal, her closeness to those who suffer, was consistently engaged. So there's no mist in St. Catherine's mysticism, and there's certainly no schism. In fact, trying to overcome schism led to her early death at the age of 33 in 1380. Of course, we have Italy as a country now, but at her time is, as it were, a number of countries, cities, states, often at war with each other. And Catherine is as bound up with Siena as Francis was with Assisi. So Catherine's strenuous efforts, whenever Siena was engaged, in war, with Florence, with Perugia, and so on, and lesser quarrels. In her letters to popes, cardinals, politicians, nuns, lay people, we see her applying all the truth and love given to her by God to others. So we have a chronicle of her time, in a way, in those almost 400 letters, of which one is here in Oxford. She probably couldn't write. She could scarcely read, this doctor of the Church. There are no original letters, because she couldn't write. There's not even a signature. The so-called original letters, of which there are 8 in the world, are 7 in Italy, 1 in Oxford. Those are not original in the sense she wrote them, but that these 8 were dictated by her to her followers, a small band of men and women who accompanied her. She even went to France to encourage the Pope in Avignon to come back to Rome, and he did. And then, he having died, another Pope was elected, and it triggered a schism. And in the last months of her life, she went every day to St. Peter's in Rome for hours to pray that schism, or the possibility of it, would be ended. So there's nothing of mist in her mysticism, There's nothing of schism in her mysticism. But what about I in the middle? Her letters usually start, I, Catherine. But the I there is so bound up with Christ that it was hard to set limits to her life and Christ's life in her. She, in fact, combined, swapped hearts with Jesus. And she had the stigmata, the marks of his passion on her body. That's really, in every sense, the heart and mind of mysticism, is the experienced union with God, which of course is for all of us. I think one episode in her life brings out this I, which is genuinely of a person. We know so much about Catherine, but also is merged with Christ. She went to comfort a young nobleman about to be executed, Niccolò di Toldo. She was there with him, next to him, while they waited for the beheading. And such was the level of union between Catherine and Christ that Niccolò, as he faced beheading, could hardly distinguish the two. Catherine, in a real sense, brought Jesus to Niccolò. And as he died, he kept muttering, Jesus, Catherine. And as he was beheaded, she caught his head before it fell onto the ground.